It is the Flow Friday Sports Show here on your Colour of Country Life, Flow FM. It's time to welcome our first AFLW player of the year. Her name's Kate Surman. She plays for Port Adelaide, former Gold Coast player as well. Great to have you on, Kate. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Going very well indeed. And the Port Adelaide AFLW side are also going quite decently as well, Kate. A big win on the weekend. How's the mood in the camp at the moment?
I mean, the mood's always good. We've got a pretty, cheery group and quite a happy group. So obviously we've had a few tough rounds early on, but definitely the win against Sydney has brought the vibes up even more than what they already are. So good vibes around the pair camp.
Absolutely, and it was certainly a comprehensive win against the Swans. You'll be looking to build on that. So let's talk about this weekend's upcoming game. Gold Coast lie in wait for the Port Adelaide AFLW side. Kate, is there any added spice going into this one for you? You're obviously a former Suns player yourself. So tell us whether there's a little more meaning to this game for you on a personal level and how you see the side going into this game.
Look, you don't obviously want to lose against your old team, but there's no real added spice. I'm still friends with a lot of the Gold Coast girls, and there's a really good bunch of girls there and even the staff. So there's no real added spice, but I'm sure there's a few girls that I know that get fiery when they step over the line. So I'm sure there'll be a bit of spice in the contest, but I don't think there's anything that'll happen outside of footy that, kind of will linger. So, but no, it's super exciting playing. Because you know how people play, and you've trained against them for 3 years, so that's exciting. I think it's going to be actually quite they're starting to really come together as a group, just like we are, because they're a relatively new group. They've been together for 4 years, but it's still pretty new because obviously they lost a lot during the trade and sign period. But I think it'll be a really close tussle. We play a similar brand of footy, we're very contested based in our footy style, but I think we might just pit them. If we can play our style, I think we can beat any team, and that's including the Gold Coast Suns. So I think we're going to get the win, and that's not just saying because I want to win, but I generally think that we've got the group to do it, as long as we, play hard and that we take obviously what we learnt from the weekend offensively, but we just need to work a little bit more on our defence. So, no, it's really, really exciting. A bit of confidence from last weekend, but it's going to be, I'm excited.
You certainly sound like you are, which is great. Kate, tell us about what it's like being at the club at the moment. It's obviously a very exciting time to be a part of this. It's chapter one, in so many ways. Aaron Phillips coming to the club as well. There's so much going on. So tell us how the move sort of eventuated for you to come and find yourself playing in Adelaide in 2022.
Yeah, look, I was actually contracted. So I was contracted with the Suns for this season. So it wasn't necessarily a planned thing. I think there was a long process between when we finished the season to when the trade and sign period was actually being announced. So there was this real long runway for clubs to talk to players. And one of my mates got approached, and then it was just something where I'm like, oh, well, I'll ask, and next minute I'm playing for Port Adelaide, so it kind of came quite quick. I'm still going to be living on the Gold Coast. I'm here for the pre-season and the season, and then I head back for the off-season back on the coast with my partner and my dog are still on the coast. So I was doing the back and forth for however long I play. But yeah, no, it's just been super exciting. It's a really young group, but a really talented group we've got, and obviously signing, Emma and Jem and and Juicy and so a lot of the Adelaide girls, you knew that you weren't going to have a bad culture. It was going to be a good culture because they got it right at Adelaide and they know what works. And it's kind of also something really, really nice when you come from an expansion team to another expansion team. You kind of seen what works and what doesn't. So you have a leg up when you move to another club, and you can kind of stop things, that you see that potentially you may have seen happen previously. You can nip it in the bud, which is really, really cool. So really good group, really talented group. So I'm loving being here and experiencing what it's like to be a Port Adelaide player in an AFL state. Queensland isn't.
Fantastic stuff, Kate. I've got to ask you, as a midfielder, you're covering every blade of grass virtually, and there's been a lot of knee injuries this season. It's quite concerning, a lot of ACLs happening. Is that, in the back of your mind at all? Because it's really starting to become a statistic that can't be ignored.
Yeah, no, not at all. We're pretty well set up when you're looking at a strength and conditioning, because I'm obviously a physio, so I know kind of what to do and what not to do, but a lot of the injuries are non-contact, but there's no point worrying about an injury. Otherwise, if you worry about an injury, you're probably going to get an injury. So it's not really a concern from myself when I'm playing. When you do see a fair bit, you do start to think, oh, well, is it because we've had a season back to back to back, or or is it because we're not full time, so we can't dedicate as much time to doing the prep? But yeah, like I said, it doesn't come into my brain at all when I'm playing footy. I also got a long history of playing change of direction sports, and I move I don't take long steps or wide steps, so that helps me when you're looking at the mechanics of a non-contact ACL.
So let's talk about Kate Surman from a background point of view. You obviously have a history in playing basketball, then moved into playing AFLW, starting with Gold Coast Suns. Had a couple of years there, now find yourself at Port. So just take us back to the beginning of your sort of sporting endeavours.
Yeah, so I grew up, so for most people don't know, actually my nickname's Spud. I grew up ever since I was little, I've been known as Spud. So it's quite weird here in Port, everyone calling me Kate, because through footy I'm still known as Spud. I got that from when I was little. I'm talking 6 months old. I used to sit and stare at the TV. So couch potato Spud, and then it just stuck through sporting. So I played a lot of basketball growing up, and then I did a little bit of Oz kick when I was younger because I'm from Ballarat, Victoria. So. So I've always learned how to kick a footy, but I never played any footy other than term sport footy at school. When I moved to Queensland when I was 21, and then didn't start picking up footy until I was 26, and I'm 30 now. So I think it's 26 or 25. So I haven't been playing footy for a long time before I actually started playing at the top level. I like to think it's just good timing with the Gold Coast Suns coming in, and I was living on the Sunshine Coast, so it kind of just worked out well that there was an opportunity there. But there's not much else to my story with sports. I just played basketball, and then that transferred really well to footy, and yeah.
And obviously you do live a lifestyle that a lot of people would be envious of, because a lot of people want to be in the sports space. You're obviously a physiotherapist and you're playing as an athlete too. So what's that been like in a marriage of a sporting career and at the same time maintaining that profession?
Look, I'm really lucky. I'm in quite a flexible career. I didn't realise that until I probably started playing football, how flexible it was. But yeah, no, there's so many different avenues to physio. You can work part-time, you can work different hours. It's not very strict hours. So that works really, really well with football, and changing hours, all of a sudden, particularly during COVID, it really worked well. I could just chop and change here and there. The difficulty is obviously it's quite a demanding job when I was working on a private practice, but I couldn't actually sustain the hours that I was doing private practice. So I ended up moving into a community-based physio and now working in aged care, and that's allowed me to be able to focus on footy, but still obviously use my brain as a physio. But it's not easy. You work starts at 30 and finish at 3 to 4, and then you go straight to training, and then particularly in pre-season, you don't leave till potentially 9 o'clock at night. So it's not an easy thing. You do it because you love it, and we're lucky enough that through the AFLPA and through the massive backing that we've been getting from AFL and from the community, is that we're getting paid a little bit more, and we're kind of getting paid for what we're doing. And that's awesome. And it's allowed girls to kind of take a step back with their actual careers and focus a little bit more on footy. But it is going to be really tricky where we're kind of sitting in that point where it's we're earning a fair bit of money now playing football, but you can't really progress too much in your career. So it's going to be that little shift in the next couple of seasons of people have to kind of pick between their career and their football. So you might see a little bit of a drop off, but you also can see that the talent will just go up because people are able to commit more time to football, which super exciting for the next generation because there's so much talent coming through.
No doubt about it. We're right into the thick of the AFLW season, and Kate Surman's team, Port Adelaide, will travel to Gold Coast on Sunday. It's a midday kickoff. All the best for it, Kate Surman. Thanks so much for speaking to us on the Flow Friday Sports Show, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, mate. You have a lovely weekend.
And thank you very much to Kate Surman for her time from the AFLW Port Adelaide side. Well, coming up here on the Flow Friday Sports Show, we'll be sticking in South Australia. We're going to take a look at all things K&T, football and netball. Back soon. You're listening to the Flow Friday Sports Show.